Hi guys, good afternoon. You're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Stella and I'm going to be your fashion tutor today. Okay, so we're going to be drafting an off-shoulder dress with straps. So for a 1 year, 6 months old child. So let's jump right into it. The measurements. So the child, she is 1 year, 6 months. So her shoulder is 8, her chest round is 19, her waist round is 20, her shoulder to waist is 8.5 inches, her shoulder to knee length, that's the dress length, is 19 inches. So these are the measurements we'll be working with. Okay, so let's start. Let's jump right into the measurements. Okay, so the widest part of her body is her waist, and her waist is 20 inches. So we're going to divide the waist by 4, and that will give us 5. So because I want us to mark both the front and the back together. So 5, that's her waist over 4, 20 over 4 is 5, and then we're just going to have 1 inch just allowance. So that will give us 6, and I'm just going to so I'm basically dividing her body measurement into 2. Okay, so her waist round is 20, and 20 divided by 2 is 10, then plus 2 inches allowance, just allowance for the drafting, so that's 12. Now 12 over 2 is 6. I've made some dots, and then I just want to connect them. Okay, so I've connected. Her shoulder to waist is 8.5. So we'll mark our 8.5. Remember, we are drafting without allowance. Okay, so her shoulder to her waist is 8.5. We're going to add all the necessary allowances on the fabric when we want to cut. Okay, so 8.5, and then we'll connect. So we can see it properly. This looks so small, right? I know. They're for our angels. Okay. All right, so we're done with that. Now, her shoulder is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is, okay, let's label. We'll call this center back, and center front. Okay, great. Now, her shoulder is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. I've marked it here at the center back, and then we'll go ahead here and mark the 4, the front. Now we'll slope it down by half inch. Okay, so we're sloping it down, both the front and the back, with half inch. Okay, so the neck width for her, I'm going to use one and a half. I'm going to use 1.5. Okay, same applies to the front. Her neck width is 1.5, and now we're going to connect. We're going to connect the neck width to the slope. Okay, and we're connecting to for the back, the neck width to the slope. All right, so we took her neck width 1.5 for the front and the back. Then we sloped it, sloped her shoulder with 0.5 for both front and back. Now to get her chest line, you're going to do her chest round divided by 6 plus 0.5. And remember, her chest round is 19. So 19 divided by 6 will give you 3.1, and plus 0.5, so that will give us 3.6. Now we'll come down. Remember that her shoulder is 4 inches. So 4 inches, her shoulder is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So you just come down and just make a dot at 4. Do the same for the front. You do the same for the front. Okay. Now her chest line. Remember, I told you that to get her chest line, you do your chest her chest round, which is 19 divided by 6 plus 0.5, and that will give us 3.6. Now just we'll mark it. This is 3.5, this is 3.6. You make a dot here and you do the same here. We're doing the same here as well, 3.6, and we're going to connect. Make sure your ruler is touching the original shoulder divided by 2 up here, so you're sure you're getting a straight line. Okay. All right. Okay, so there we have it. This is 3.6 and this is 3.6. Okay, so at this point we're going to square the line, so we're sure we're having a straight line. Okay, so we're going to measure to be sure that we're working with a straight line. From the starting point to our armhole line is 4.25. So we're going to measure 4.25 across, just so we're sure we're having a straight line. This is 4.25. This is 4.25. Okay, so we're going to connect all the points together. Okay, so there we have it. Now, her chest round is 19, and 19 divided by 4 is 4.75. You mark it in the front, the center front. This is 4.75. We're going to mark it here. You do the same at the back. 4.75. This is 4.75. We'll mark it here. Then we take the middle of her armhole line. The middle, all you have, just place the tape at the line and then fold it into 2 and just make a mark there. You do the same here. Just place the tape, you fold, and where the both of them meet, you make a mark there. Okay, now at that middle you come in by 0.5, and for the back you're leaving it this way. Okay, so we're going to connect. We're connecting from here. Okay, let's use a pencil first. We're connecting from here to here with a straight line, and we're going to finish it off with a curve. Remember, we're connecting the curve from here to this point. Okay, so let's connect with the curve. All right, there we have it. let's use the ruler, the marker to highlight so we can all see. Okay, now for the back, you're simply connecting from that middle to this point. Okay, so this is it for the back. Now, her waist round is 20, and 20 divided by 4 is 5 inches. So we're going to take her 5 inches and make a mark there. And then for the front, we do the same thing. And we make a mark. And we're connecting the chest round to, we're connecting our chest round to our waist round. Remember, we're going to add all our allowances to the fabric. Alright, so here we have it. This is the center front and this is the center back with no allowance. Okay, let's get right into the off shoulder. Okay, so we're going to take off 2.5 inches. So from the starting point, we'll mark 2.5 inches here. We'll just make a mark. Just make a mark. We're doing the same for the front and the back. Just mark 2.5 inches off there. And then we're going to rule a line. Okay, so this is the point where we'll be cutting out. Okay, so let's cut. So let's label so that the moment we cut out, we won't be confused, because where I labeled it is where we're cutting off. So this is CF and this is CB. Great. Okay, so here we have it. Looks so small. Okay, so this is the center front and this is the center back. So I'll get our fabric and we'll place and cut. Alright guys, you're welcome back. Okay, so these are the fabrics. This is going to be for the main body and this is going to be for a part of the flare, okay, and the straps. Let's get to it. Okay, the one for the lower part, let me keep it aside. Okay, so here we have it. The fabric folded. Making children's outfit is just fun. I mean, they don't consume much fabric. Alright guys, so I decided to cut out the fabric so the camera can zoom in very well, so we can see what we are doing clear. Okay, now let's pin. This is the center front. Okay, so for the center back, we're going to have 1 inch allowance for the zip. All right, so for the center back, we need to leave 1 inch allowance for the zip. you can use ½ inch, but I'm just used to using 1 inch, leaving 1 inch for my zip. Okay, so you just mark your 1 inch, then pin the pattern after the 1 inch. All right, so here we have it. Now it's time to add our allowances. For here, the sides we're going to use 1.5 inches allowance. Okay, then here we're going to use ½ inch for the joining of the gathers, the joining of the flare. So I'm just marking my ½ inch all round. I just want us to see, because I can actually gauge ½ inch with my eyes, but for the sake of this video, it's best we all see it. Then we're also adding ½ inch all round. We're adding ½ inch round the pattern for turning. Let me try and use another color of chalk so we can see. All right, so remember, for the center back we have 1 inch here for our zip. Now we're going to add ½ inch all round, no, ½ inch at the top, ½ inch at the waist part for joining. Then by the side we're going to take our 1.5. All right, so here we have it. We added ½ inch at the top here, and then ½ inch here at the waist for joining to the lower part of the dress, and then we added 1.5 inches by the side as the side seam. Now the same thing here for the front. We added 1.5 inches by the side, ½ inch at the top, ½ inch down here for the joining, and that's it. So we're going to cut. So here we have it for the back. We're just going to cut here open for the zip allowance. All right, so we have the back ready. Let's cut the front. Remember, the front piece is on fold. You don't cut the front to the center front into two. That may be a design anyway, but that's not what we want. All right, so back. Great. Now our patterns are ready, the front piece and the back piece. So let's work on the lower piece. Okay, so let's work on the lower piece. The full length of the dress is 19. The dress length, the full length of the dress is 19. And remember, our shoulder to waist, we took her shoulder to waist. We used 8.5. Now if you take off 8.5 from 19, you will be left with 10.5. So from her waist to the knee length, it's actually her knee length, her waist to the knee length is 10.5. Okay, now if you take a look at the picture, for the main, that's the major part of the dress, I want that one, the first layer, I want the length of the first layer to be 7.5. Now we're going to add 1 inch, that's ½ inch for the joining to the half length, and then ½ inch for the joining of the other fabric. Now just 7.5 plus 1 inch, that will give us 8.5. That's for the first layer. Now for the second layer, 10.5 minus 7.5, we're left with 3, and 3, second layer is 3 down, plus the allowances, ½ inch to join to this first layer and 1 inch for the folding of the fabric. So that's 1.5. So that's equals to 4.5. So in summary, the first layer of fabric, I say the first layer, the one we're cutting with this fabric, the length we're going to cut is 8.5. Okay, 8.5 is the length for this one, and this tiny one that we're going to put almost by the hem, the length of this one is going to be 4.5. Okay, so that's the whole summary of the entire English I've been speaking. Okay, so, and to do this, you need just about a yard. Yes, you need a yard. All right, guys. Okay, so we need just 1 yard of this. This is 1 yard of fabric, and the fabric lengthwise is by 45. Okay, so remember I said that for this fabric we're going to cut 8.5 inches. We're cutting 8.5 inches, and if you divide the entire length of this fabric is 45, and if you're dividing it by 8, you're going to cut about five pieces out of this. Okay, so what we're going to do is just to measure 8.5 inches all around and mark. Okay, so I'm going to mark 8.5 all through. Just keep marking till you exhaust the 1 yard. I'm going to go ahead and cut out one so that we will see. Then while I go off camera and cut the rest. Let me just cut out one so you see what I'm referring to. Okay, so this is one. I'll go ahead, cut this, keep cutting 8.5 till I exhaust this 1 yard, and then we'll be right back. All right, guys, so we're going to join each of the strips. Remember, each of them is measuring 8.5 inches. So we're going to join the 5 of them like this. We'll join them using ½ inch, so that at the end of the day we're going to have a very long strip. Okay, so you go ahead and join. Now it's time for us to cut the other fabric. Remember, the width is 4.5 inches. Okay, so to get the width of this, remember that the other one that we cut 8.5, the length for each one is by 36. So you're going to do 36 multiplied by 5, and that will give you 180 inches long. Now to get the length of this one that we're going to cut, the actual length of this fabric is 45. So you're going to do 180 divided by 45, and that will give you 4. So that simply means you're going to cut 4 pieces of this fabric, and each of them will measure 4.5 inches based on our earlier calculation. The length we need is 4.5. Length we need, just like we did in the other one, length we need here is 4.5. Remember, we only need 4 of it. So we're cutting 4.5. Connect it and cut. Then we'll cut 5 of it. I'm sorry, 4 of it. And then we'll be right back. Okay. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead to mark. Remember I said that we need only 4 pieces of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And each of them, the length is 4.5. Each of them is 4.5. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them out, and then we'll be right back. Alright, you're welcome back. So I've cut. We have 4 pieces sorry, of this 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 pieces of this, and which we're going to join, like I explained to us. We're going to join them like this. We bring 2, you join them, and you also join. You join like this. You join all of them by this end. So, and then we're doing the same too for this one that we earlier cut. This is all for the cutting. So we're going to jump right into the preparation for the sewing. We'll be ironing hairstay to the half cut, the half length that we had earlier cut. So after that, we'll just go right into the sewing proper. Okay, so for the straps, we need 4 straps. For each shoulder is 2, 1 in the front, 1 at the back. Width of the strap to be 1 inch. Okay, so on fold it will be 1 inch, but open like this is going to be 2 inches. Okay, so we're cutting out the length of the strap is 17 inches. So let's measure the length. So when we are done, we'll fold and sew. We'll fold and sew. We'll use 0.25 to join. So let me cut out remaining 3 and we'll be right back. Okay, so here we have it, 4 straps. We're going to fold and join with 0.25. We'll do the same for each of them. Fold and then sew with 0.25, then close just one end and leave the other end open for turning. Okay, so the lining for the lower part, remember that the entire length from the waist to the knee is 10.5. So for the lining, let's make it 2.5 inches shorter than the entire length. Okay, so let's cut the lining. The lining length is 8 inches plus the half inch. We're going to add half inch for the joining to the half length and 1 inch for the folding. That's 9.5. So that's the length of the lining we're cutting. We're cutting the lining at 9.5. Okay, so I went ahead to cut just a tiny piece of lining so we can cut the lining for the half cut. So just go ahead and place, pin, and cut. So we're done pinning. Now let's go ahead and cut. Okay, so here we have it, both fabric and lining cut for the front. Remember, the lining for the center front is still on fold as well, while the lining for the center back is open because of the zip. All right, so that's it. We're going to iron down the hairstay on it, and we'll see you the joining. So I've gone ahead to use the iron to fold our straps. The width is 1.25, so we're going to sew on 0.25 for each of them. These are the 4 straps that we have. I folded them with iron as that makes it a lot easier. So then I also ironed hairstay or interfacing on the wrong side. I did the same too on the wrong side of the back piece. This is the back piece. So here's my lining. I didn't iron anything on it. All right, so the next thing we are going to do now is to turn. Then for this we're going to join it. We're going to sew at 0.5. Remember the allowance we added. So we're sewing at 0.5 all the way here, and we're turning the armhole. We're sewing 0.25. We're sewing 0.5 here and here and here. This is what we are doing. We're joining this to the lining like this, and we're going to sew at 0.5 this way, and this way. And I prefer to mark it so we are sure of what we are doing. Remember, when you're sewing, the right sides will face each other, and lining, both the right side and the wrong side is the same, so you just pick any side. But for the main fabric, the right side will be inside, so we're marking on the wrong side. 0.5, 0.5, I've marked it. This is your 0.5. This is the area you're sewing. But remember that the front piece is going to have two straps that you're going to join to the two at the back. So after we sew this down, the very first thing you need to join is the straps, because you're going to be putting it inside here. You're going to be putting it inside. Remember, inside is going to appear this way. You put the strap, and then it's going to appear this way. So you're going to put two straps in the front, and the straps, you're going to put them after the 0.5 mark. You're going to put the straps. This is the 0.5 that I've marked. I also marked the 0.5 here. Have you seen the importance of marking? So the straps, you're going to put them out after this mark. Okay, you're going to put the straps after this 0.5 that I marked here, so that you don't mistakenly attach them to the armhole. The same thing applies here. You make sure that the strap starts after the 0.5 mark. Okay, this way you place it, and then so we are sewing this way up, and then this way down. Okay, so this is what we're going to sew. I'll take it to the machine, sew, and then we'll see. So let's just illustrate everything. Now this is for the front. The back, remember our back, our zip allowance is 1 inch. So let's mark our zip allowance out. Remember, we left 1 inch as our zip allowance. Okay, so here we have it. Here is our 1 inch. Okay, so here we have it. This is our 1 inch zip allowance. So the first thing you're going to do is to go and run a loose stitch on this 1 inch line. The same thing will happen to the lining as well. On the lining, you're also going to mark your 1 inch zip allowance and run a loose stitch on this line. Okay, so I'm just marking my 1 inch. All right, so this is the lining as well. So we're going to run a loose stitch on the main fabric for the zip allowance, and then run a loose stitch on the lining for the zip allowance. Run a loose stitch, then we press it open. Okay, so this is the first thing we're going to do for the back. While for the front, we're going to sew at 0.5 with our straps in place. So what I usually do is I pin the straps down so that it doesn't shift. Okay, then you pin the other side. So always ensure that it starts from your 0.5 allowance. Always ensure that the strap is after this point. Okay, then you pin it down just to secure it in place. Then we'll take it to the machine and sew this way, here and here. Let's join the straps at 0.25. This is the very first thing you're going to do. So okay, now let's sew the zip allowance, the 1 inch that we marked. Okay, so now let's sew the 1 inch zip allowance with our loose stitch. do the same on the lining, and then we sew the 1 inch.